Thank you for staying tuned to the Newsmaker Live Open Edition. Before we went on break, one of our callers made mention of an accident that happened in Babnoware involving a motorcyclist. And I just wanted to share a story, something that I experienced last week. These motorcyclists, when they're driving, they really couldn't be bothered with whom else they're sharing the road with. I had an experience coming down the Badlil where this motorcyclist came from maybe 3 vehicles behind and just overtook those vehicles, not realizing that the first vehicle in that line of vehicles was turning right. And just by a hair's breadth, this motorcyclist almost careened into this panel van, and I was the next driver, and I would have been so intimately involved with this motorcyclist at some point. It was unbelievably scary. We have another call online. Thank you for holding, and thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. You're on the air.
Hi, good evening, Laura.
Good evening.
I heard the gentleman before. I just wanted to find out some information. He said that there's an investigation going on the officers, and they're getting promoted. So I'm wondering what investigation was he speaking about, because I know the report was done and it was given to the DPP. So I don't know if you can shed some light on that, because I know the person that's supposed to be pushing the report right now and deciding whether there should be court action or people should be arrested should be the DPP.
Right.
So I'm trying to find out, what does the minister have to do with that? And also,
well, I don't know that he said the prime minister. He didn't mention the prime minister.
I didn't say the prime minister. I said the minister.
Oh, the minister.
Yes.
He didn't. I think what he said was that there were investigations, that some of the officers who were promoted were being investigated.
Investigated by who?
Well,
I know it was done and it was given to the DPP.
But then that was an investigation, The impacts report, it was being investigated.
He said they're being investigated.
He said they
were
past tense. They were being investigated.
Okay, Laura.
But no, also, I'm just trying to share.
But I'm saying that nothing is being done right now. The report is on the DPP's desk.
Right.
Nothing is being done. She's not doing anything. So if anybody should be getting pressure to try to put this thing on the rocks to do something about it, it should be the DPP.
But the DPP, and I'm being devil's advocate here, right? But the DPP falls under the purview of the minister.
Yeah, but the report is on the desk. She's the one who has the final say.
If the
she
DPP
right now has to say whether this should go to court or not.
Yeah, but if the DPP is being
because
derelict,
I have heard you have been one of the persons who have been advocating for violations against people in this country,
right,
and human rights and all of that. And I think the impact report is something that has shown that this has been happening by the police force, and I think this is a positive step.
Right,
in
but
getting
if
some
if the DPP is being derelict in her duties, then it's up to the minister to put pressure to bear on her.
So why can't we as citizens put pressure on the DPP?
But remember, in my opening preamble, I did mention that, if my memory serves me correct, and if I'm wrong, I stand corrected, that the DPP has proceeded on pre-retirement leave.
But she got the report before she proceeded on pre-retirement leave.
But the point of the matter is, the DPP not doing anything about it is because there is, in effect, no DPP. Where is the DPP? She's on pre-retirement leave.
She was in office when the report was given to her. She
Yes.
had it at least a month or so or two before, even before that.
But
because I believe it was given in March.
We cannot speak to what the process is after the DPP has received it. We do not know if there was a process, because to my mind, the DPP has to go through that report. And to my mind, it's not a one-pager. It would be a lengthy report based on all the findings. And
but don't you think it would be fair for her to come out and say something? Okay, I've gone through the report, and would say, because I heard you saying that the ministers are not coming out and saying anything. So wouldn't it be fair? Because this is something that has been pending for a while.
Right.
And I've heard you speak about human rights being trampled upon and violated by the police.
Right.
But what a lot of people don't realize, the impact report was not done by the Prime Minister. The stuff that is in the impact report is allegedly done by police officers. But because the Prime Minister did that report, he's being looked at as the bad one. I heard you say about the police being
you lost me a little bit.
demotivated.
You lost me a little bit there when you said about the Prime Minister not doing the report and the police
Okay,
officers.
what I am saying, the things that are being said in the report, the illegal killings and the guns, the Prime Minister is not the one who did that. It is alleged that the police officers did it.
Alleged.
But yet still, people are acting as if it's the Prime Minister who planted those guns or who went out and killed those people.
Well, I don't think it's fair to say that. I think. Let's have a conversation. I think what people like myself have said is, when the Prime Minister made the comments or the statement prior to him handing over the report, the impacts report to the DPP, the statements he made, and even today I mentioned that in his statement, he mentioned the police officers, he mentioned corrupt politicians, he mentioned corrupt government officials and corrupt business officials, and yet still the spotlight is only on the police, right?
The Prime Minister was alluding to what he got from the report.
He wasn't.
He was telling us. He was giving.
He was not alluding, because to allude means you. There is a supposition, but the Prime Minister is one of the only people on island who knows what's contained within the impacts report.
And then the information he gave was taken from the report.
Right,
that's what I'm saying.
But what we're saying is, why is there no other focus beyond the police force? There are politicians that the Prime Minister told us, and government officials. And
because
yet
still,
we have not heard anything from the Public Service Commission with regard to that.
The final action was taken by the police. The police were the ones who allegedly murdered the people. The police were the ones who allegedly planted the guns and so on.
Do you watch those programs on ID, investigative discovery?
Yes, I do. Criminal Mind, I do all the time.
Well, I'm not talking about the fictitious ones. I'm talking about the real cases that they reenact.
Yes.
And you realize that a lot of the times, the person who actually pulled the trigger is not the one who gets the most time, but the mastermind behind it. So I'm saying, and I'm being devil's advocate here, so I'm saying there were police officers implicated in the impacts report, but there were also other persons, there are other players. Who's to tell who were the masterminds?
Okay, Laura, let me tell you.
If it's not the police, then
why.
whom and why aren't they being persecuted?
Okay, let me tell you why the focus is on the police force. Because the police force has a job to sustain and protect the people of this country. Whenever that is carried out, the spotlight should be on them.
Of course.
I am not saying the person who went and asked them to do that and so on are not to be blamed. But the majority of the blame should be placed on the police force.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you, because if your mastermind, because it's like getting rid of the little things, the little nobodies, right? You get rid of them, but guess what? The real mastermind is still there plotting, and there will just be another Operation Restore Confidence, there will be another impacts report, and it will just keep going on and on, because guess what? We have not gotten to the root of the problem.
You must start somewhere. You must start somewhere.
But
we're starting with the force and we're going up the line.
Yeah, but we're not going anywhere. We started with the force and we stopped at the force.
Because the DPP has not said anything. That's where the full stop is.
Yes,
nothing is being done on her end. So I think
the minister who's responsible for the DPP needs to put pressure to bear on the DPP. I cannot have staff working for me and I give them a responsibility and they're not doing it, and for me to say, well, hands up, I have already done my part and my staff is not doing what I've asked them to do. Ultimately, I too have a boss, and ultimately the responsibility is mine. The buck stops at my desk. And to me, the same thing applies. If you're the minister responsible for the DPP office falls under your purview, the responsibility is yours to put pressure to bear on the DPP's office to ensure that, because every day, every week, every month that this thing is not resolved, we the people suffer
That's
because
the
we're
reason
not
why
because
we, the people, should be the ones advocating,
we're
because we are the
agitating,
ones who
and you
feel
know
the
what, we're
crunch. We need to
agitating,
stop depending on the politicians,
but you know
and
what,
we need to stand up and do things for ourselves.
it
I
goes full
believe that
circle
we,
because
the
if we
citizens,
the people
should be the ones
agitate,
giving the DPP
it
pressure.
will come back to the minister because ultimately the minister is the one who's responsible and the buck stops with the minister. So if the minister does not agitate and the minister does not put pressure to be on the DPP's office, then we the people have to do that, and guess what? It goes full circle and comes back to the desk of the minister.
It stops with us, Laura. But anyway, I let me tell you, I also heard the gentleman say that I heard you say that Mr. Lacobinier said the day that he has to work with extra security, he will resign.
Yep.
But I can recall not too long ago reading an article where the police said they were the ones who implemented the extra security,
But
and
the
he did not
minister,
want it.
no. Well, the
I
minister,
remember reading that article,
the
and it was
minister.
issued by a
Listen,
police.
if I do not want something, you think you can make me take it?
Well, you and the Minister of Security
The
is two different
minister
people. But
of
I'm
the
saying he did
minister
not ask
said
for the
the
extra
minister
security.
said the minister said the day he will require it, whether he asked for it or not, the day he will require it, he will resign. He required it, he had to resign. But we didn't
He
really
didn't ask
expect.
for it.
But he
He did not ask
required.
for
But
it.
he required it. He required
The
it.
police felt to themselves that he required it, but he didn't ask for it.
But he
And I
required it,
also
and
want to
those
say,
were his
before I
words.
go, Laura, before I go, I want to say, I am a proud recipient of the $500.
Wonderful.
I am going to be receiving that money, and I'm going to be buying some school supplies for my daughter.
Wonderful.
I also got a book bursary from the Prime Minister, and I am very happy because, right now I'm not employed. So
Good.
that is going to help me tremendously.
Wonderful.
And this is a program I would like the government to continue, because this has assisted a lot of people in this country. Thank you, Laura.
Wonderful. And bravo to you. You got your $500 and you got your bursary for your daughter. And it's coming at an opportune time because, as you say, you're unemployed. And it's unfortunate that you're one of the 25% of our people who are unemployed. And hearing from the tone of your voice, you seem to be a pretty young person. So that makes it 50% of you part of the statistic, 50% of our young people who are unemployed. So that is very good that you're receiving that assistance at this opportune time. We have another call online. Thank you for calling Newsmaker Live. You're on the air.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
You said it's an open mic tonight.
Yes, it's open mic.
I want to know if you are still the public relations officer for the United Workers' Party.
I've never
been. And what is your take?
I have never been the public relations officer for the United Workers' Party.
Okay, what is your take on what's happening in the United Workers' Party at this moment?
What exactly are you referring to?
Well, it's in the news, it's in the media.
I'm not sorry.
Newspaper.
Say that again.
I said it's in the news. It's in the media.
It's in the news. It's
on the newspaper. And everybody can see and understand. You have news piece on DBS, on HTS, on Choice, on NBC. And if you said that you don't know,
what exactly are you referring to? What is it you want clarification
on? The infighting in Girls Relay.
Huh?
The fighting in Girls Relay between Spider and Miss Cornell. The whole aspect of how the United Workers' Party is going about. I mean, if somebody wants to make a contribution, or if somebody wants to say that there is a party, if the Labour Party is not working, there is an alternate.
Ma'am, hold on. I want to hear what you said. I want to respond to what you're saying, but there's a sort of a feedback, so it's kind of distorting some of what you're saying. So there is somebody who wants to make a what?
Okay. As some of us will say, we need a second party. We need a party to, the Labour Party is a party. We have the United Workers' Party, LPM, whatever the case may be. At this stage, and you said it's an open mic, so I'm asking you the question because I have heard you defending the United Workers' Party previously. I want your take onto what do you think right now. What do you think the United Workers' Party needs to do to better itself, or what if somebody like me or somebody who is at a voting age would want to vote, what is that an option? Is the United Workers' Party an option? Can you
So
elaborate on that?
ultimately, you're asking, is the United Workers' Party an option come elections?
That's correct.
Well, as far as they present themselves, they're a registered party. They've presented themselves. They have a slate of, I think, 7 candidates so far. If my memory serves me, between 7 and 10 candidates. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember too clearly now if it's 7 or 10. But they have a number of persons who have been endorsed. They're an option. The decision now is on for us, the citizens, to decide whether we want to stick with what is existing, and depending on what slant you're looking at it, maybe good, maybe a bad thing. And to juxtapose that against what the United Workers' Party presents to the people and then decide. But as long as the United Workers' Party continues to be a political party and continues to present a slate of candidates to the people, they're an option.
I am just asking you that because I know you were a great defender for the last 3 or 4 years. You call the programs and defend the party.
Hold on. Let us not get ahead of ourselves and to exaggerate. For the last 3 or 4 years,
I'm not exaggerating, Laura.
You're exaggerating because you could not be further away from the truth. Now, if you're going to misrepresent the truth, we're going to have to...
There's somebody with a voice that sounds like yours.
I'm sorry?
Maybe there's somebody else in St. Lucia with a voice that sounds like yours.
Well, I can safely tell you, I have only become intimately involved in politics in this country for the last 2 years.
For the 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be.
No. I am telling you, not 2 to 3 years, 2 years. Okay? For the last 2 years, I have participated in political activities.
Whatever the case
so let's not go over.
I asked you a question and you answer it to the best of your ability.
Right.
What I'm trying to understand right now, and I am... Sometimes you put your radio on and you listen, you want to hear. I mean, there's a debate. There's always a debate. People may be upset and saying, okay, this person is irritating me or whatever the case may be. But I don't hear your voice anymore. What happened?
You don't hear my voice anymore?
Yes.
On the radio?
That's correct.
You miss my voice on the radio?
That's
Be honest. I just had gone through a lot of different things, and some things have had to suffer. I've taken on a lot of different projects, and it's just one of those things, one of the things
good.
have to...
That's an honest answer. Very good. Thank you very much.
That's what it is. I mean, it's not whether it's very good or very bad or whatever. The fact of the matter is, St. Lucia, you will probably have heard me for the last 2 years, over the last 2 years, off and on, calling the radio stations and whatnot and making contributions. And the reason primarily is because I was affected by decisions made by our government. And so I started calling the stations because of that. And then it's like a bug. It's like an addiction. You get bitten and you love it. You kind of takes a life of its own, and so that's what happened. But since then, I have taken on a few other projects, and it just does not leave me time to call the radio stations, particularly News Spin at midday, where most of the times I work throughout my lunch hour. So it's just one of those things. We have another call online.
Good night, Laura.
Good night.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Laura, I have been listening to your past, and the day that you had the show about the rape and so on, I really tried to call and I didn't get through. And you brought up the issue again this evening, and you mentioned 37 rapes.
37.
I'm curious because I'm wondering where did you get that information from, because I want to follow up on it.
That is from the police force.
The police.
Yes, if you call the I think they're called oh God, I think it's VPT, but there's a department within. If you call the police force, and you just ask for, I call it the Special Victims Unit because I can never remember what the acronym stands for, but they will direct you to the right persons, and it's 37 rapes, 27 in the north and 10 in the south.
Okay, but when we look at if this is what is happening, and we are 238 square mile island, this is an issue that we have to take up very, very seriously. And not just the person's, we have go inside of the minds
Oh,
of
it's
those.
vulnerable persons, sorry. Vulnerable persons unit.
Okay, thank you. And those persons, if it is that it's 37 and so on, because I listened to, I think for the first 6 months, the report from the police, it was 7 reported rapes.
Oh, no, no, no. In the first few months, we already had 9, so it could not be 7. Because last week or week before, I heard the minister make mention of 7, and I was appalled because I knew we had already amassed 9 prior to that. And then so my mind, I was saying, okay, so 7 more, that brings us to 16. And so, but I thought it was an appallingly high number because I thought we had seen an abatement in the number of reported rape cases. And you would recognize that there would be cases of rape that were not reported. And so I made the inquiries, and that was the information given.
Okay, but the 37 were reported rapes?
Reported rapes.
Okay. All right. Laura, I also heard you speak about the Mont Leblon Road. Mont Leblon?
Mont Leblon Road.
Okay. Laura, I don't know whether it's just me, but I don't understand the plight of some persons with road conditions and so on. But in this very same community of Library, we have the bus road, which had not been, attended to for years.
For sure.
And this road is now under construction.
Yes, it is.
So when, like other callers, I think a few callers before you said this, whilst we talk about things which are not happening, let's also talk about the things that are also happening.
For
so
sure.
whilst this road has probably, you mentioned the Minister for Infrastructure, that you had a conversation with him and so on, whilst this might not be happening, and you did say that it was to build another road that the trucks and so on had, and sometimes this isn't an issue that we have, with the heavy vehicles. Yeah, they do tend to damage our roads and so on. But what I'm saying is, whilst this thing is happening, we also have the bus road, which is also, and I'm very happy. I know you're from Labrie, and I'm very happy for the people in Labrie. A caller did also mention about the Minister for Legal Affairs and the security detail and so on and so on. But Laura, it was this very same, and I suspect that this guy is a police officer, speaking based on how he spoke.
I couldn't tell.
But, it was the same police force who informed the minister of a threat.
So they're doing their jobs.
Same police.
So they're doing their jobs.
Yeah. It was the same police who assigned a security detail.
Nobody's denying that.
Pardon?
Nobody's denying
but
that.
To come and give the impression that the minister is the minister said that a threat is on his life and he wants this and that. We have to speak, and when we speak, we have to speak, and we have to not tell half truths. If you want to.
So I'm very glad that makes two of us, that places an emphasis on misrepresenting the truth. I don't know that the gentleman was misrepresenting the truth. He may have been looking at it from his vantage point. But it's very important that we not misrepresent the truth. But I'm very thankful that you made mention of those Banks roads, the Banks Road, and I'm very grateful because at the end of the day, there is absolutely no reason why the Mont Leblon Road had to be so devastated before. And we do that all the time.
But,
administration upon administration, we do that all the time. There are 2 road networks, and we allow one to be decimated before fixing it. Not a little bit of remedial work will be done. And while in the process of doing that, we crap out the other one. And I'm just saying that the Mont Leblon Road, which is very, very close to me, the Mont Leblon Road did not have to go through that because it got damaged for a number of reasons. And I'm just saying that in all of that, I know we're not going to get Barbara Green roads up the Mont Leblon Hill, but it's a very important network, and I hope that remedial work is done on it because the road was damaged, firstly, not in constructing the Banks Road, but in constructing secondary paths. And secondly, by the Christmas Eve trough that really peeled off the road, and also to a certain extent by you know, when you have developments and the structure just going up, there ought to be some sort of something levied against those persons who are doing the development, because you know they use the roads a little bit more.
I do get what you're saying, and I really feel, because I can only imagine the residents there, they would want their road fixed as with everybody else, you know. But I am saying that, you know, we have a situation in our country now where our fiscal position is not the best. We have a very tight fiscal position, and yes, roads are being built every day. I see the CDP project and so on, and every community can boast of roads being rehabilitated or actually built in their area. I look at Denry, I look at Grozile, I look at Soufrière, I look at Labrie, I look at Vieux-Fort, and there is testament of roads being built, rehabilitated, and so on, bridges and so on. So yes, it is that some roads, you know, might not be attended to immediately or as soon as we want to, you know. And I am just saying that amidst all of this, we cannot do as a country everything at the same time.
You know what? We can't. But at the end of the day, it is incumbent upon us that are being affected and us that are concerned about other citizens to speak about it. But we're out of time, so. Please try again to call next week or another time earlier so we can continue the conversation. You too. Have a wonderful night. And that was our last caller, but I just wanted to stress that, you know, people, it's about us. When we are being affected, we cannot sit at the wayside, sit on our hands and say, you know, mumble and say something is going to happen. We have to join the fray. We have to call the responsible persons. We have to pull up their socks. We have to have them be held accountable for the things that are affecting us. And this is exactly what I did, and this is exactly what I continue to do, and this is exactly what we all should be doing. Continue to speak up and speak out, whether we are affected personally, or whether we just cannot stand to see things go awry. As to the Yana incident, I just want to say to the family members and to the friends of this young lady, it is quite unfortunate what happened to her. Nobody deserves to die that way. Nobody, absolutely none. And it is incumbent upon our justice ministry, it is incumbent upon our police force to investigate this death, among others, and to ensure that the family and the friends and us as a nation, that we get closure. And that the perpetrators of these crimes are brought to justice and brought to feel the full brunt of the laws. We have the laws. We have the laws. Let us use them in the right way to effect a change. This has been another episode of Newsmaker Live with me, your host, Laura. Until next time, good night.